So pirates are fun, right? Wrong. You're a bad person. So I was an impressionable young fellow when the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie came out. My mom made me watch it because I don't have the impotence to watch movies unless someone tells me to. And I was in a 4-H sailing school. I, you know, I was super into boats just in general, living in Michigan. So it was just kind of the perfect storm for me to fall in love with these movies. And the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy was and still kind of is like super important to just like me, and like I love these movies. I used to walk around like Jack Sparrow before realizing that I looked like I was gay and drunk. Some things don't change. I was a pirate for Halloween a lot of years, and now that I'm allegedly an adult, I switched to doing what I do with most topics that I really like, which is just read a bunch of books about it. So these are the books that I've read about pirates, both fiction and nonfiction. I've watched Black Sails, which I do recommend if you can get past the first episode, which I think is just terrible and like so wannabe edgy it hurts. I think a lot of the shows kind of wannabe edgy, like, oh, look at us, we're just like Game of Thrones with half the budget. But it's a good show and you should watch it. What I also enjoyed about Black Sails is that there's actually piracy in it. Besides, in the original Pirates trilogy, besides the intro scene, which is like when Will and Elizabeth are children, there's no piracy. Like, none of the main characters actually actively commit piracy on the ocean in the trilogy. Because, like, the Pirates movies can be fun, and mostly are fun popcorn movies. They do get a little dense, which I kind of like because I'm a big lore person, but in the movies it's our cast, like it's our protagonists versus a supernatural force and the government, and so you're always going to root for the pirates. It's Jack and crew versus skeletons. It's Jack and crew versus fish people. It's Jack and crew versus voodoo skeletons, and then it's Jack and crew versus ghosts. Like, you're not, and there's like there's the ever hovering presence of the government, but that's like it. They're not attacking merchants very much in these movies, and they really lean into that, where it's like piracy is just kind of an analog for freedom. The sea is just like a metaphor for freedom. It's not about being a pirate, it's about being free. And they sort of cast, especially Jack, in sort of a like Robin Hood freedom-loving character who steals against the rich to give to himself, the poor, which isn't very true to life or piratey. And even to a point, I know that like Nassau and the Republic of Pirates was a real thing, but they also make it about pirates fighting for freedom against England, and not about pirates stealing to get rich, which is closer to the truth than them being freedom fighters. So learning more about pirates is kind of like growing up and realizing you have a family member who's like a bad person. it's like you really care about them, and then you grow up and you go, So I've made this helpful graph. I made this months ago, actually, when I first had this observation. A big part of growing up is realizing that this thing you thought was fun and simple is actually not fun and complicated. But I didn't ask to grow up, so I can still be upset about it. My first tattoos when I was 18, this is a terrible angle to show these. My first tattoos when I was 18 were like, sailing and pirate related, like coming to terms with the reality of what pirates were and what pirates stood for. And yeah, I'm aware that like pirates had a form of democracy, at least on their ships, within like dealing with each other, and that some pirates were escaped slaves. But those same escaped slave pirates would then participate in slavery. When a pirate ship captured a ship with slaves on it, they wouldn't always just free the slaves and have them join the crew, especially if they weren't skilled. They would just resell them. They would still treat people as commodities. They would participate in slavery. So to, grow up and realize that these more so mythical figures than actual people, like Blackbeard and Henry Morgan, all these people, you would just like, you picture them as being these like warrior freedom fighter people when they're really just participating in one of the greatest evils possible. It's just part of growing up that sucks. So the oppressive nature of colonial rule in the Caribbean definitely contributed to piracy. Of course, the golden age of piracy was like 30, 40 years. But being under an oppressive system doesn't justify oppressing others. Like, the government sucks, so I'm going to participate in slavery doesn't really track. I think like people latch on to specific stories like Anne Bonny and the other one and stuff like that because it's much more fun than dealing with the reality, which are these are rapists and murderers also, and you don't want the protagonists of your stories to be rapists and murderers. Long John Silver in Treasure Island was supposed to be scary. He's not the hero. He's kind of a trickster character, but he is still a threat. And they don't, you don't go in there and I know I'm not considering anything from Black Sails, but just like the actual original Treasure Island, he's scary. He's a threat to civilized people, whatever that's supposed to mean. He wasn't supposed to be a good guy who was fighting against the system. My favorite nonfiction pirate book is Enemy of All Mankind by Stephen Johnson, which in Latin is Hostis Humani. I can't even read my own handwriting. Generis? Hostis Humani Generis. Like the governments who labeled pirates that were more mad about disrupting trade than they were about lives lost, but I think the point still stands. And it's hard when you want to like just have fun with something like this, but then you just know too much about it to have fun. My town has a pirate festival every summer, and everyone's dressed in the corniest pirate in the corniest pirate outfits. My biggest pet peeve is when pirate flags, like a skull and crossbones, have an eye patch. It's a skull. It doesn't need to cover up an eye hole. It's only eye holes. And stuff like that. I hate like kitschy pirate stuff. I have a hard time having fun with it. There's a bug in here. I've had a hard time having fun with it since I was a kid and I was like reading scholastic stuff about pirates anyway. It's just corny and lame and boring. If you're going to do the pirate thing, don't do the Disney ride pirate thing. Like, why are you dressed up with the... It's how everyone has a bandana and the same tricorn hat and the white puffy shirt. It's annoying. I'm annoyed. But honestly, I think I just grew up and got old and jaded. I'm not a kid who raises my pirate flag when I go out on a sailboat anymore. I mean, it's hanging in my office, but I think the point still stands. When the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie came out, it was a school night, and I went to an early screening. It was like 8 p.m. the night before. I dressed as a pirate. It was just me and my mom. None of my other siblings came, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And then when the fifth pirate movie came out, and I was an adult, me and my mom went to see that pirate movie in theaters. Not on the first night, because who cares? So we went to the theater, we got some pops, and then we snuck in some rum and got drunk drinking rum watching a Pirates movie, which is, one, just a cute little moment for me to have with my mom. It's very full circle. But I think it's also kind of a good metaphor for my own relationship with the idea of pirates versus real-life piracy. And I think that kind of works as a metaphor for just, like, me growing up and like growing out of pirate stuff, I feel. Yeah, so I didn't explain that very well. The point I was trying to make there was like when I was a kid, like I went to the pirate movie and pirates were fun and simple and I wanted to be a pirate. And then I grew up and it was more just like it's a lot less wholesome to drink in a movie theater. Even if it's this cute full circle moment with my mom, it's not as fun or innocent anymore because I'm committing a crime. So that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Didn't really explain it very well.